Coffee with Caregivers production costs are covered by a partnership with United Healthcare and the National Foster Parent Association. We receive no federal or state funding and depend on our constituents and viewers to help us achieve our goals to provide support and services that meet identified needs within our mission. We would like to welcome the viewers of Coffee with Caregivers to the family. The National Foster Parent Association offers several membership opportunities for individuals, child placing agencies, and state and local affiliates. You can join today or donate at NFPAonline.org.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Caregivers. We've got another wonderful episode today, and some of you may recognize our guest, Dr. Eshele Williams. She has been on our show before and was wonderful, as she always is, but she's got a really special thing to talk to us about today that I'm so excited about. And so I don't want to waste a lot of time on talking about other things, but because I want her to have time to tell her story and how she came to writing the book that she has written that every family that does foster care or kinship care needs to read. So let me talk to you a little bit about my cup first. And this cup, when I went in my collection, you know, I have people who've been sending me cups ever since we started Coffee with Caregivers. It's kind of funny, and with various things on it, you know, and so I have a selection. And when I opened my box to look at the and this one just jumped out at me because it's so Eshele, right? Now this is for you, Eshele, and it says she leaves a little sparkle wherever she goes.
Aww,
and I need
thank
to.
you.
Where am I doing? I hate to do this on this camera, but I just want you to know that in all the time I've known Eshele and the opportunities I've had to work with her, and she served on our board of directors. We've done trainings, we've written curriculums, you know, we've done all kinds of things together over a period of years. And I just do believe you'd leave something special behind, Eshele, each thing you do. And so she leaves a little sparkle wherever she goes, just was the right cup to pick today. So with that said, I would love for you to introduce yourself, talk about your cup, and let's get started.
All right. Well, good morning. Good morning, Irene. And so nice to be here again. So in terms of who I am, I'm Dr. Eshele Williams. Like you said, I used to be a board member of National Foster Parent Association and really enjoyed my time, not only getting to know everybody that was on the board and working towards child protection, as well as the education and development of foster and adopt parents, but really just getting to know you. That was one of the most amazing things in our support of one another, all of our travels and our ability to write, and really with United Healthcare as well, and looking at all of the things that we were able to do with that organization. So today, my cup, oh, look, can you see that?
Just another manic mom day. Yeah, well, there have been a few of those in my lifetime too, I can tell you for sure.
Right. So just in the land of parenting and this mom life and all of these different things, right, we endeavor to do so much. And as we do all of those things and fulfill our purpose and our dreams come true, then we do things like write books. So I'm super excited to talk about the book that I've written and the impact that I hope that it has on not only foster care, but just the world as a whole, right? Sometimes we don't know our passion and our kids don't understand exactly what it is that we do. Yeah. And sometimes we've got to tell them because they see us working really hard and they don't understand the purpose behind the work, right? And that passion behind the work. So I'm so excited to share the book and to talk a little bit about the passion behind the work and the purpose and being able to bring it forth.
So are you ready to show your book? I'll show
I'm ready.
You. Okay.
Want to get together?
Yeah,
ready?
Let's do it. Oh, I always get it wrong on here. Yeah, I have my copy. If those of you watching don't have your copy, it's time to get it because this is an incredibly valuable book. Your kids will love this, and it will help them so much. So Eshele, in your book, just in the acknowledgement part, and I'm not going to read much of it, but you use some very key words that I think are valuable for caregivers of other people's children, right? That have children of their own to think about. And you said you realized that there was a need to have candid, courageous, caring, sometimes challenging or complicated conversations with children about being part of a foster family. Wow, what a way to describe it, right? We always say to people when they're thinking about becoming foster parents, be sure you talk to your children about this, not just once, but throughout the process, right? Because the more they learn, the more they need to talk to their kids about what the realities of having new children join your family can have on the dynamics of the current family. You experience that personally. And I think that's what makes your book so poignant, is because it's not on theory. It's not on what other people have necessarily told you. It's what life experience you have. So I know that sometimes some of these things are kind of hard to even talk about. But this book is a culmination of, a lot of feelings that I'm sure you had to experience over your lifetime of growing up in a family that fostered pretty much, I guess, your whole life. I don't know. So you could talk about that.
Sure. So you're absolutely right. This is a culmination of not only my personal, but my professional, vision and passion and mission. And I was given the book long ago. It's probably been about 12 years now, and it sat on the shelf all that time because God said it wasn't time yet. And as I wrote it, it was looking at what I needed to know and what I felt my parents should have told me that they didn't tell me about our fostering experience and the journey. And being able to really just have that conversation and say, this is what a foster family is, instead of having to find out in another way. I can remember coming home and my mom had decided that she was going to foster, and there were two young ladies that were there. And to my surprise, I knew them. I went to school with them, and I didn't know that they were coming to live with us, and I didn't know that they were going to stay, as well as I didn't know that the rest of their family was going to come and live with us. So it started out two young ladies, and over the years, and very, very quickly grew to 8 children. And they're all brothers and sisters. My mother endeavored to keep them together in foster care. There were 4 babies that came, and we understand people love babies and they want to adopt babies. But part of her passion was to make sure that their mom could get them back and that they stayed together. And as a part of that, the challenge in it was, how do I continue to acclimate in a family that fosters when I wasn't part of the decision? I didn't really know what that meant. And I had to redefine who I was in that family. So in thinking about writing the book, I had a conversation with someone. They said, you got to have a really great idea. Okay, great. Got that. You got to have some experience in that area. Okay, got that for sure. And it has to be something that not only meets the hearts and minds of individuals, but that sends a message. And in trying to send a message, it was, what would I have wanted to know as a child? And what would I wanted my parents to tell me when they sat down and talked to me about this new family that we were going to become? And sometimes as children come and go, it can be really difficult for the children that are already in the family, whether they are your biological children or children that were previously adopted or children still in foster care status. Mm-hmm. It can be really difficult for them to acclimate and understand the parents' passion behind fostering. So with this book, it is I call it simple, people call it complex, but it's a simple concept. But it's a concept that's usually missed, because what we know is about foster care is it's not designed really for the kids that are already in the family. It's designed for the children that are in foster care status that need the support of a family.
Right. That's very true.
So
Go ahead. Well, I was going to say, our family, we didn't have any biological children. So we adopted an infant through an infant program and then started our fostering career and adopted, 4 more times during that period of time. And as I've talked to my kids, they're all, much, much older now, in their late 30s all the way up to 50. And it's been interesting over the years what they have said to me about the experience of so many children joining our family over that span of time while they were growing up. And there were 127 children during that time.
Wow.
Their experiences in what they described were a little different than what you've talked about. And I can understand that because they came from the background that all of these other kids that joined our family came from. And they saw our commitment to each of them when they joined our family, and then and each of those that led to adoption. So their experience from the way they looked at the other children coming and going seems to be a little different, but the experiences that they had to endure, and I say endure sometimes, were all the same as for anybody's kids, right? And so we've had discussions over the years about some of the behaviors that children had. And I mean, they've told me things when they were in their 30s that I never knew happened. I never knew they were having that experience with a particular child who had joined through foster care. And they never said anything at the time. And so, asking them why was like, well, Mom, that's your life. You dedicated your life to helping kids, and we weren't going to say anything. We just put up with it or whatever, and we just weren't going to ruin that for you because we love you too much. So retrospect, over the years for me, and then when I met you, really had an impact because I thought I was pretty savvy in foster care and training and education and support and everything. And paying enough attention to my kids wasn't the top of my list, and it should have been, I think. So that's why I'm so impressed with your book, because it's the dialogue that needs to happen with every child who lives in a foster and kinship family, and even an adoptive family, because they're going to adopt more.
So as I thought about and thinking about what you said, that's a lot of kids to have come and go and a lot of lives to touch. And knowing that your children also participate in the process of raising other children. Mm-hmm. And as I think about my participation in that process, even though I was kind of voluntold, right? I'm voluntold into the process because most parents don't ask. They say this is what we're going to do because it comes out of their own, their own passion and purpose. Then the children are brought along in that process. And one of the things we know is that most of the time, social workers don't come and ask questions about how are your children doing. And when we're in pre-service training and when you're going through in-service training, most of the time, unless someone has dealt with or they've had the experience of other children being in the family and seeing that impact and knowing how amazingly important it is to ask those questions, sometimes we miss it. So there's nothing in the training curriculum that is mandated that we talk about the impact, the impact on the children that are already in the family.
Right.
There's no guideline, there's nothing, and there's no specific way of doing it. And in the family assessment, which is also called the home study, we ask questions about the other children in the family and how they might feel, and they have an interview there. But that might be the only time that anyone is coming in specifically to talk to that child or the other children in the family and having them express how they feel. So when we're talking about We're telling children their story early and often, and along the way, developmentally, sometimes these children are not able to express themselves along the way. And just with a book like this, they're able to have the conversation. There's some pages in here that talk about the feelings that this young guy had about being a part of a foster family. And his mother was able to hear that. She was able to say, I'll do certain things to help you, express your feelings. I'll find someone for you to talk to, and most of all, I'll try to make the changes necessary in order to keep our family happy.
That's right.
And it's not a situation where we're thinking about, well, don't do this because you have children. That's not it. It's about do this alongside, do this with your children, because they are also, they're important members of the child welfare and the foster care team, right? We're a team in child protection, and our children are a part of that team.
Absolutely. I mean, how your children react to particular children who might join your family can make or break that child staying and make or break that family continuing to foster. I mean, it just can. If the kids don't feel like they can openly talk about things that are happening, things they're feeling, things they're observing, all of that, that builds up. And then somebody's going to explode, right? Things are going to happen. And it can be really traumatic for everybody involved. And I think I paid attention to my kids. They always said Mom, we were always happy. We were, but it was the overall well-being that we're all striving so hard to provide to every child, right? Who needs to experience foster care, is to make them safe, yes, but to help them understand what overall well-being is and what it feels like and how they, can achieve that for their lives. I think that's kind of where, and I'm going to use the word neglect, and I don't neglected to even think about the overall well-being of my kids.
I think it's also the overall well-being of the family. When we look at foster care, when we look at foster care from a family systems perspective, what we realize is that the changes that we make to one part of our family are the changes that happen to every part. And if that's the case, when we add a new family member, then something happens and it's dynamic. Birth order, the order of the children might change. The child that was the oldest now might be a middle child. The child was the youngest, gets shifted, and now they're now a middle child. The definition of who they are in that family is altered. And there's a lot of times where we don't pay attention to it because we don't know that it's important for that one person. But when we ask them, when we have the opportunity to engage them in a conversation, no matter how young they are, right? It's the giving voice and choice to every child that's in our family so that we understand where they are in that process. And as we offer and give that voice and choice, and I say, how are you feeling? You might feel one way today and then a different way tomorrow. But if I can help gauge that and stay alongside you along the way, then I have a better opportunity, or have a better advantage of being able to take care of something or take care of the child when things aren't going great. Because we understand. And just like candid, courageous, caring, collaborative, challenging, sometimes complicated conversations, all of those things, I've got to be courageous enough to go to my kids if I'm mom, right? Or if I'm parent, I have to be courageous enough to go to my kids and hear them say, this isn't working for me.
Right.
And to say, I'm so sorry. What can we do to make it a bit better? I might not be able to fix it, but it's the bit better. And to know that the person that is making decisions for you in your life cares.
Right.
So that's really what it's about. It's how do I continue to consider every single member of the family? And we're talking about children here, but there are partners, husbands and wives, and are the people that we love that are also impacted. Our whole family system, right, shifts.
Right. Our church always, every 5 years, had a church directory. And so the families in the congregation would come in and have these nice portraits made, right? and they'd be published in the directory. And so we certainly did that every time. And we had gotten our new copy of our 8x10, right? And so I was so excited because we're all there. A couple of children in foster care were on that picture because they were part of our family. And so when our foster home development worker came in for her monthly visit, I literally could not wait to show her that picture. The kids were spit polished, clean, all color coordinated, right? Hair was all pretty, so licked down, whatever. My husband looked adorable. He was even color coordinated with things. And so her name was Kathy. And I said, Kathy, you just got to see this picture. It's just the most wonderful, wonderful photo. And she looked at it a minute and she looked up at me, and Eshele, she said, Irene, you look like hell.
Wow.
What? She said, they all look wonderful, but you look like hell.
Wow.
She said, did you even look at yourself in this picture? And Eshele, I hadn't. What does that say? I wasn't taking care of myself. And so what I saw when she put it in front of my face was a woman with big, dark, deep circles under her eyes, hair literally sticking out all over the place, not color coordinated with the rest of the family because it had a white shirt on. I was tired. I was wore out looking. I was frazzled looking. But I couldn't see it in myself because I was so wrapped up in the rest of the family. And so when you say it's about the whole family, it's about how we process information together, how we share the good things and the bad things and what we do with that, is so absolutely true. And that's the day Kathy said to me, Irene, you have got to learn that you cannot be all things to all children. You need to be the best you can be to those you parent at any one time. And so at that point, I changed kind of how I looked at things, my attitude. I got out of some stuff I was doing that was taking me away from my family when I needed to be there for them, when I needed to be getting rest for myself. That was the wake-up call for me to really figure out how to be a lot better foster mama and mother to my children. And again, I keep going back to your book because, as I've told you every time I've talked to you since I've read it, it's really insightful and impactful. And I think that this book for families can be what Kathy's comments to me were.
I think I did for my mother what Kathy did for you. And I went to her and I was just telling her that, a lot of the children that we care for, they had, they were differently able, just as we all are, right? Some of us inclined for math and some of us not. Some of us inclined for this or that. But looking at the needs that the children had, and what we underestimate is that our children also have needs, and they may not be the same need,
right?
But it is a need for that continued support, the continued nurturance. And one of the things my mom told me when I asked her, why did she continue to join Children with Our Family, is she says, I thought you had everything that you needed. And I said, I was 9 when this started. And I ended up moving in with my grandmother, which was, she's my saving grace. And, if you look at the name Ellington that's in this book, it's her name. And just looking, we're the Ellington family. and just being so proud that we are that family. And as we continued this and I was having the conversations, I said, I was just 9 years old. There's no way that I could have all of the things that I might need. But because she was there and consistent, and because we had a family that really were nurturers and carers and givers and different things, we do think that we have the things that we need in order to move forward. But kids are still growing, and they're still growing up in this process. So I had to ask her, when she saw that I was impacted, how come she didn't make a change? And part of it was there was nobody to come in to say that she needed to make a change, to walk alongside. There was no Kathy for her. There was nobody to come in and say, hey, this is what's going on. And if they did say it, then she wasn't able to hear it in the way that she needed to. So eventually I went to her and had a conversation after lots of therapy, right? So we got to go get ourselves tinkered with. I'm a therapist, so I guess I could say that, right? So after a lot of therapy, I was able to go to her, and she says, I don't understand it. And genuinely not understanding. And she said, I don't understand how these two things are possible. How is it that I could be helping someone else and hurting you at the same time? And it was not anything intentional. She did the best job that she could possibly do for every single person that was involved. But there is a time when we have to figure out, what is the balance? Yeah. What's the balance in what we do, not only for ourselves and that self-care piece, but what we do for all the other people in our family? How do we continue to have bonds and ties that matter, to let all of the people in our family matter? So people talk about, oh, well, when you foster, you got to make sure that you spend time with all the kids equally. Well, if one child has, is differently able or extraordinary needs, then that equal time looks totally different. And there is no equal or balance, because you barely have time for you, just as you just said. Right. So when we think about just having these conversations that bring us back to center, then looking at this book and hopefully allowing it to be a conversation that never leaves, or a piece that never leaves our mind, because we know that we've made changes and our family is configured a bit different. And every person in that family is going to have feelings about the differences. And they're not all negative, right? We do foster kids. No, I can think of many, many times that are happy, and that, I just reflect on, and all these different things. I have a little sister, and her name is Wendy. And I remember us being together and living with my grandmother and doing her hair and cooking for her, and us learning how to do certain things. And, I wouldn't have that relationship without our foster care experience.
Well, yeah, my kids as adults now, many of the children who lived with us, they're friends. Into adulthood. They didn't lose that when these children's left to go back home, or some into adoption, a couple emancipating. But they've remained friends, and it's so fun to watch them on Facebook and things like that when they're interacting and talking about their children now, and their jobs, or losing their jobs, or what do I do during COVID? It's an amazing life that it provided for us, because when you've been in it a while, you can see kind of the culmination and the fruition of all of those efforts, all those years. And that these young people, now some of them, like you say, in their 30s, actually in 40s already, still want to be a part of the family, still want to be, friends with our kids. They call each other brother and sister still, and some of them maybe only lived with us for 3 or 4 months, and yet the impact was so strong, and the connections were so deep. I'm so glad you brought up about the good times, because there's so many of them, and if we're, for me, the hard things stick out, because you have to put so much energy and effort into those things, and the happy times kind of come easy. But when you overlook a career of doing the kind of work that families do, the kind of work you do, the good times usually always outweigh the hard times. And I think in society today, maybe we haven't really learned how to appreciate the good times.
Yeah.
And we focus on what's stressing us and, causing us issues and things like that. And we have to, because we have to try to remediate those as well. But um, to keep, what happens in foster care as a positive experience as much as we can. I think, again, this book is a key to new families who are thinking about this, certainly new families as their kids are experiencing the first children joining their family, right? They're going to have a lot of questions at that point. And how do I fit in? And where am I in this mess? Kind of thing. And to have that available is just a real treasure.
Yeah. So we talk about our role, right? And my grandmother passed. It's been 7 years now, and I was at her house where my sisters live, and one of my sisters says, "Hey, I want to give you something." And knowing that I work in foster care and I have for a really long time, and I said, "Okay, it better not suck, right? Don't give me a bad gift." And she goes, "No, I think you'll love it." So what she came and presented me with, and I'm going to share it with you here today, and I don't know if you can see this.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Outstanding service, the Department of Children and Family Services and the Children of Los Angeles County for you. Oh, that's beautiful.
So
Wow.
that is a plaque that my grandmother was given in 1998. And it is engraved by the then director, Peter Diker, or Peter Degree, I'm sorry, Peter Degree. And then Amaryllis Watkins was the deputy director of Los Angeles Children and Family Services. And to look back and say, the work that I'm doing, the work that my family is doing, is valuable and meaningful. And to think about it all coming together and being a part of one small book, right? One small book that talks about having conversations that matter. And the first conversation that matters is, how do we iterate to our children that this is our passion and this is the work that we're doing, and that they matter within the work? So that Ellington name, as it's honored by Department of Children and Family Services, is also the name that's honored in this book because of the service and the work that she's done. And that's my grandmother's name. So the Williams name, Matilda Williams, is my mother. And as I've dedicated the book and thanked her for always having the vision of foster care in her heart and wanting to push that forward, she has now, passed that vision down to me. And all of the work that I do with consulting and training and educating and speaking, and now authoring a book that I can dedicate to my family. And one of the things, the little guy on the front, if anybody's seen my son, this is really for him. It's for him, and not so much about me, but that he knows that he's represented and my family represented in the work that I do, that I'm not forgetting about him, because I can also get bogged down, doing this work, because I come home and sometimes there's nothing left in the tank for him. Yeah. Because I've been doing all of the things, working with other people's children, working with other organizations that do this work. And it is valuable and important. But how do I allow him to understand that he is also one of the most important people in my life? And no matter what changes and what our family does or what I do, and, then he is the person that sits at the bottom of it, at the base of it. I have a goddaughter that also sits at the base of it. She's my first baby, and she taught me how to be a mom, and letting her know and wanting them to also be proud of the work that we do. So to not get lost in the fact that this is difficult work, and that there are children out there that need us because they don't have families that they're joined with. And then when they join our family, we have to remember that all of the children matter and all of them are important. So if I can talk a little bit more about the book, this young man comes to his mom and he goes, "Mom, can I ask you a question?" And she says, "Sure." And he says, someone at school was making fun of us and they called us the foster family. And I told them that that's not our name, because our last name is Ellington. And she tells him, what I think they were trying to say is that we are a family that fosters. But what foster really means is to nurture. And it means to nurture people that we care about, provide a safe place for them so that they can grow. She asked him, what does he think about the fact that we're a foster family? And he says, sometimes I'm happy because other children live with us. And sometimes I'm confused because I don't understand why children would have to live with anybody other than their moms and dads. And sometimes I just want my mommy and daddy all to myself. And those are words that resonate with me, because there were times where I just wanted my mommy and daddy all to myself, and I wanted my family to be the way that it was.
Right.
And sometimes I got that, but I'm better because we're a foster family. I'm better because of the experiences that I've had with that family. My life's work is based on being able to help other people and see my mom's passion and see my grandmother's passion and see our family's, experiences positive. And then wanting to go out and impact other families in much the same way.
Right.
So in the last piece of it, there's 2 pages that are super long, and it's just super wordy, right? Got lots of pages, and there's some suggestions that, we don't leave out key members of our family, and that we make sure in social services and mental health and all of those pieces that are a piece of the puzzle in the fostering journey and experience, that we remember that all of the people that are there, they're all children, and they all need our support, not one more than the next.
That's right. So well spoken, Eshele. 12 years in the making.
12 years.
Yeah. God planted the seeds, and 12 years later, it was time.
It was time.
Yeah.
Now, can I read? I'll take 30 more seconds, right? And read the child's prayer. So there's a parent's affirmation of love at the back of the book, and it says, "I never want you to feel like you don't matter because we are a foster family. No one will ever take your place. What you mean to me will always have its own special space. In my heart is where you live, and my thoughts are where you stay. From the moment that you came into my life, I declared it a special day, one that I will never forget. And every night I pray that you remember how much you mean to me. And this is what you pray." The child's prayer. He says, "May you keep me and bless me. May you guide my family along the way. May you make us forever grateful for our blessings each day. May you continue to bless our family. And when the changes come, may we stay forever connected, knowing that whatever kind of family we become, you will bless us and provide for us each and every day. I thank you for our ability to love one another, and I will always pray that all the little boys and girls have mommies and daddies, to love them just like my mommy and daddy love me today. Thank you for allowing my family to be a work of heart."
No better way to end this episode, Eshele, than with that. Thank you. You're amazing. I love you.
I love you back.
Love
you more.
I just have the best wishes in the world for you as you move forward in your wonderful career and with your family.
Thank you. And you can get the book. We didn't say where you can get the book.
Yes, please share.
Yes, so it's eshelewilliams.com. That's ESHELEWILLIAMS.com. And you can go on, purchase the book on the website, and hopefully there'll be some information along with this that you can find of Coffees with Caregivers. And so excited. Thank you, Irene, for the opportunity to share the book and to share my work of heart.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure, Eshele. Let's keep in touch.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for being a part of today's episode. We're very thankful for you, for everything you do for all children who join your family. We hope this will be helpful to you. That'll help you, stay the course, meet the needs of your kids as best you can. We always know that we could always do better. If we were perfect, we wouldn't have much of a life, would we? So just striving all the time to make sure that we're we're doing the best we can for our kids, but at the same time, be sure and take care of yourself as well. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
This episode is brought to you in partnership with our friends at United Healthcare. For more information about United Healthcare, please visit www.uhc.com.